was your weekend? I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news for Monday. I'll do the late night stuff in a minute, but I want to get to Comedy Central because I am stunned by this. They have canceled Tosh.0, and that's after renewing the series initially for 4 years. This from Yahoo. The show will wrap up its 12th season, which will premiere September 15th and feature 10 episodes. The finale set for November 24th. Sources tell Entertainment Weekly that Viacom CBS is working with Tosh's team to shop the show to other networks. And the cancellation was in part due to Comedy Central's new focus on adult animation. Yeah, they are kind of done with Gen X for sure, and I think they're done with you millennials. They like Gen Z now, and they're doing all animated shows. Ren and Stimpy, Beavis and Butthead, and a spinoff of Daria called Jody. But is that for Gen Z? Like, I don't think my kid knows what any of that is, so I don't know what Comedy Central's up to, but I am absolutely stunned by this. Let me start with Jimmy Fallon. He did a run of jokes about Steve Bannon. These are fantastic. I'm going to run through them quickly. I don't know. Maybe these charges are nothing. I mean, does Steve Bannon look guilty to you? Oh, yeah, he definitely does. Just so you know, by the way, that's how he looked before he got arrested. He looks like someone you find sleeping in the bathroom stall at Margaritaville. He looks like an unemployed Martha Washington impersonator. He looks like a guy who yells at little leaguers when he doesn't have a kid on the team. He looks like every composite photo of what Elvis would look like if he were alive today. He looks like every guy who's ever tried to sell me a jacuzzi. He looks like every guy at the hotel hot tub who sits way too close to your wife. He looks like every man who's ever walked into a Ferrari dealership. And he looks like his home address is the swim-up bar at the Mirage. Some leftovers from last week was the 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote in the United States. Seth Meyers said President Trump said he will posthumously pardon Susan B. Anthony, who was arrested and fined for illegally voting in 1872. Incidentally, Susan B. Anthony is what Trump thinks happens during gender reassignment surgery. Trevor Noah said, oh, so now voting illegally is okay. Trevor Noah again, I mean, look, this is kind of a nice gesture, I guess, but based on what we know about Trump, I bet he's only pardoning her because he thinks she has dirt on him. Fallon said there's no bigger champion for women than the man who spent his morning rage tweeting about Michelle Obama. And Fallon again, yep, Trump pardoned Susan B. Anthony, then he complained that she didn't thank him. Where's Colbert? Was he off? What are you doing, Stephen? Write some jokes. I really like this one. This was from last week's Democratic National Convention. Julia Louis-Dreyfus said, Joe Biden goes to church so regularly that he doesn't need tear gas and heavily armored troops to get there. Ron Funches was on the Last Laugh podcast. This is very interesting, this discussion. We'll start with the easy stuff. Funches says during the lockdown, he was depressed for a little bit. He overate a little bit, but he says now he's buckled down. He's got a new hour of material ready to go. He will stream it. It's called Awakening, and that'll be on YouTube the night of September 5th. I'm sure I will remind you of that when September 5th rolls around. And he said, people are mad at me for going on Joe Rogan, and I don't understand that one bit. If you don't like the man, that's fine. I don't agree with everything he says. I go on there and I tell him, I don't agree with what you say. But to not talk to him, to not go on literally the biggest show in the world right now, that makes no sense to me. The host of the podcast said to get your perspective on his show is important. Ron said, that's what I felt. But then I had people be like, oh, no, you let us down. And I had to let them know, hey, look, I don't work for you. I don't work for anybody. If you don't want to talk to someone because you don't agree with what they say, that's your opinion. I don't work that way. And above all, never tell me what the F to do. It will always go wrong for you. Even if you were right, if you come at me as a grown man telling me what to do, I will just say to you, I don't want you as a fan anymore. Get the F gone. Wow, Ron Funches, who knew? The host then asked about the 846 special. And Ron said, it's always beautiful to see our leaders in comedy, and I'm sure he wouldn't like hearing it, but our elder statesmen, he just called you old, Dave. Our elder statesmen in comedy continue to show new ways of doing things and how we might be continuing to do comedy through these types of social distance events, because I hadn't seen that before. I liked the special. I liked how raw it was and how it hit on certain things. I love Dave Chappelle, and there's things I completely disagree with Dave Chappelle, and that's fine. It doesn't mean I don't love his work. Opening for him in Montreal is still one of the highlights of my entire life. He's one of my biggest inspirations, and I love what he's doing. And then there's times when I'm like, why do you talk so much about transsexuals while you also dress like you just came from working as a drag queen? I got to pay more attention to how Dave Chappelle dresses. I've never seen a Dave Chappelle special and been like, is he dressed like a drag queen? I don't get the connection there. By the way, Chappelle is wonderful live. I've seen him, not on TV, like in person. I don't know, twice, 3 times. It's really good. The host of the podcast asked, I was wondering if you noticed there were some pictures that went up of Louis C.K. performing the shows. Yeah, I was wondering if you noticed that, Ron. Of course Ron noticed that. And Ron said, I mean, I don't love it. I don't want to speak for anyone. But it looked like a couple of people in that picture looked pretty uncomfortable. But, you know, Dave's Dave, and that's his friend, and I don't judge people off what they want their friendships to be. Would I do that? Absolutely not, but I'm not going to go tear down Dave Chappelle because he wants to be friends with a guy he's been friends with forever. I wouldn't be, but to each their own. And finally, from BuzzFeed, Sarah Cooper did her thing at the Democratic National Convention. You know Sarah Cooper? She does TikTok videos where she plays the president's voice and she makes faces. Sarah said, "Here's the truth, Donald Trump doesn't want any of us to vote because he knows he can't win fair and square. So whether you plan to vote by mail or in person, wearing your mask, it's your vote and it's your right. Don't let Donald Trump take that away from you." BuzzFeed reminds us Cooper's Trump impersonations, she lip syncs over the president's voice from speeches and also reacts as bit characters, have received millions of views and gotten boomer parents obsessed with her. That's Sarah Cooper at the Democratic National Convention. That's your comedy news for today. You can subscribe on Apple Pods or Google Pods. You can follow on Spotify. And on that last story, you can read between the lines. See you tomorrow.